Chapter 17. I'm in the middle of reading about narwhals when Dad picks us up. The narwhal is a type of whale. People think it has a giant tusk, but it's actually a tooth. Narwhals are extra special because they're rarely seen. People tried to keep them in captivity in the 1960s and 1970s, but sadly they kept dying. I only see Dad once or twice a year, and this time it's right before spring break. He's in Chicago for a week with my Tio Carlos. Apparently they are going to some sort of convention for my Tio's clothing store. When Dad arrives at our house, he is in a new car that I've never seen before. Dad always likes to drive instead of flying, so he must have gotten it back in Colorado. The new car is a sports car, the ones that look like they go really fast. I'm used to this, though. Every time I see him, it's a new car. As we put on our seatbelts, he says that he's taking Nick and me bowling. Cool, says Nick. I don't say anything. I've never been bowling before. I'm excited, but I don't know what to expect. As soon as we get to the bowling alley, Dad says to us, "You guys paying?" He laughs. I look over to Nick. He's not laughing. I know why, too. Since Dad never sends us money, we never know when he will actually pay for things. Mom knows this, so she always gives us extra money when we see him, just in case he makes us pay. Nick, it's just a joke. Nick is still not laughing. Dad just shrugs. He goes over to the register. 1 adult and 2 kids. Dad opens up his wallet. I see a picture of Nick when he was little. Then I see a picture of a baby. Who's that? I ask, pointing to the picture. You, he says. I'm a little surprised. Really? See, it's you, from your first passport picture before we moved to the United States. Vamos, let's get some zapatos on your feet. Apparently you can't wear regular shoes on the bowling lanes. You have to borrow these really cool shoes that are colorful. I put them on. I think I might like bowling, I say to Nick. I kick my heels together like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Let's go, Twinkle Toes, Nick says. We walk over to the lanes and Dad enters our names into the computer. Then he hands me a few different balls to find one that I can bowl with. I find a bright orange one that I can actually carry. Señoritas primero, says Dad. I like it when Dad says girls go first. Nick blows a raspberry. I'm all smiles until I walk toward the lane. The floor is slippery, and I get all nervous trying to lift the ball. It feels too heavy. What do I do, Dad? I ask. It's not rocket science, just roll the ball, says Nick. I turned roja, this time because I'm angry. Just because I'm new to something doesn't mean I'm stupid. I wish that I were a narwhal right now so I could poke Nick with my giant tooth. Instead, I stick my tongue out at Nick, then I roll the ball. It goes nowhere near the white pins. In fact, my first 2 balls go right into the gutter. Nick goes next. He is much better than me and knocks a few pins over. Dad is really good. He knocks over all the pins. I don't know much about bowling, but he kicks out his legs like the professionals. Dad, how come you're so good? I ask. Well, I used to go bowling a bunch when I was a teenager. He reties his shoes and looks at me. I wasn't very close to my parents. They were more concerned with their parties than with your Tio or me. Once I no longer had a nanny, I spent all my time with my friends, bowling or playing pool. I feel sad for a second. I never thought about Dad as a kid. Sounds kind of lonely. I love spending time with Mom and Nick. I look at him. I say in Spanish, Dad, could you teach me how to bowl better? Claro que sí, mi amor Stella. Of course, my love, he says. He shows me how to line up my feet with these little arrows first. Next, he shows me how to swing my arm better, and finally to let the ball roll. When I do it by myself, the ball goes slower than it did before, but it's going straight down the middle. I actually knock over some pins, almost all of them. Way to go, Stella, says Nick. He gives me a high five. Dad kisses the top of my head. I smile. For a moment, I miss having him around. After we finish bowling, Dad drops us off at the house. Before you go, he says, grabbing a box from the back seat, here are new coats for the 2 of you. I see the tags. They are from my Tio's store. Dad gives Nick and me each a coat. I try mine on. It's too big. It's also pink with fur. I like pink, but a whole pink coat is too girly for me. Still, I say gracias. I look over at Nick and I giggle. His coat is way too small. It's so tight around his shoulders he can't even put down his arms. Oh, I guess you grew more than I realized. You're going to be as tall as your uncle. Nick just shrugs and hands him back the coat. I'll mail you a new one, Dad says. Nick looks at me. We both know that is never going to happen. I give Dad a hug goodbye. I feel a little sad again. My dad is not all terrible. He just doesn't know better. It's like the people who used to hunt narwhals. People used to think that narwhals were related to unicorns. They didn't know they were regular sea animals and weren't magical. I think part of Dad just doesn't realize he's not doing a good job at being a father. Then again, I don't think he knows how. Doesn't sound like he had really great parents. Nick and I are lucky because at least we have Mom. Nick puts his arms around me as we go back inside our house. As we open the door, I smell something wonderful. Mom is in the kitchen making albondigas again. I run into the kitchen and hug her tightly around the waist. Whoa, Stella, you surprised me. I look up at her. I love you, Mommy. I love you more, she says as she hugs me back.